Good afternoon, everybody. If I could have your attention, please. Good afternoon. It's great to see everybody on this beautiful April spring day. Our president, Charles, could not be with us today. He had to travel back to Canada, unfortunately, for a funeral. But I'm your host, Tom Packer, president-elect, and we have a lot on the schedule. Our first half hour, and then have a very interesting speaker. So let's get going. If you think of it, like us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc., and spread the good word. Richard also is not with us today, Richard Watkins. So I'm going to give the invocation today, which is timely, I think, given the season that we're in. So we'll start with the invocation and then with the Pledge of Allegiance. But the invocation is as follows. We as Rotarians should pause and acknowledge and appreciate our power and the expectation that we be of service to all. Let us renew our obligation to fulfill that expectation, just as the return of spring renews growth in the world around us, with a new commitment to help others in our community, our nation, and our world. With the power, influence, and wealth that we as leaders in this community have, let us always remember to employ these to the best and most useful purposes possible. And that as the balloons in spring turn to leaves and the trees before our very eyes grow taller and stronger, let our commitment to service and fellowship continue to reach towards the sun. And with that, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And also a special welcome to everybody on Zoom that's in on the meeting today. I know there are various spring breaks going on and people are zooming in from wherever we might be. So thanks for joining us. Lyndon, it's time to start out with guests. I see at least a couple of guests that we have for sure today.
Yes. First of all, Elsa has a guest today. If you'd like to have your guest stand up and introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Sandy Park from Los Angeles, and I'm visiting my sister-in-law, Elsa. Love your city. Thank you.
Great, welcome.
And then Richard has a guest.
Yes, I'd like to welcome my daughter Lucy to the club and any future Rotarians.
Welcome, Lucy.
And then Shakima has a guest. And I think that's it for guests. We do have one of our corporate members who hasn't come before from the City Club. If you'd like to introduce yourself, since Patrick Hogan couldn't come today.
Yeah, apologize for Patrick not being here. My name is Jack Rutherford. I'm the director of membership for City Club Raleigh. Been here going on 2 months, so it's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully I'll get a chance to meet everybody before we break. Thank you all so much for being here.
Well,
Great.
thank you.
Well, Jack, I know there's been some turnover, not just in your organization, but a lot of other organizations. But we really value our relationship with City Club and look forward to working with you and Patrick. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Brad.
Remember, everybody, the blue buckets on your tables are just waiting to receive coins, loose change, dollar bills for carts. So be generous and think of that, please. Charlie Upshaw is back with us on a regular basis, I hope now. And there's nobody better at collecting any happy dollars than Charlie. So
Thank you, President.
does anybody have any good news? Teams that won, things of that nature for happy dollars.
Ohio State, Carolina, Kansas.
Kansas.
Okay.
All for Kansas. I love it. That ain't the dog.
There's one for Bert.
Okay,
Kansas or Carolina or.
all right, good. We'll get the change, Terry.
Come for the hills.
Okay,
Thank you, Terry. You're welcome.
Charlie behind you.
I'm sorry.
My lovely daughter Elise Dorset was born 34 years ago this day. And she is a Rotary in historic Switzerland, and she has a almost 1-year-old son, first grandson. So that's it all.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So a couple of reminders and announcements for upcoming meetings. Remember, next Monday, we're not meeting because of the Easter holiday. But on April 25th, I think it'll be very interesting. We have an author who's involved with Peace Corps work in Moldova, which, as Charles has described to you before, is very much on the front lines in the war and conflict that's going on in the Ukraine. And you all were very generous in donating money to the help the refugees in that tiny country of Moldova. So it should be an interesting talk. And also, for those of you who haven't done it yet, think about going to the district conference in Winston-Salem. There's some of us who are going. I've actually never been to Winston-Salem before. And so I'm very much looking forward to going there and seeing what it has to offer. I forget the name of the museum there. That's I really want to go see. But anyway, it should be a good time, and a lot of fellow Rotarians there. A great way to meet people from other clubs. Next on to club and district news. On April 8th, April 18th then, even though we're not meeting next Monday, we will be having the hanging of the plaque commemorating our founding of the Wake Smiles Dental Clinic at the Salvation Army at 2:30, in case everybody wants to go there, but you'll certainly be seeing some publicity about it. It was a big deal in 2014, 2015, when we raised approximately $200,000 or so to establish that clinic. And this will finally memorialize it forever on the wall there. There's also a Zoom program, Rotary Remains Relevant, on April 22nd and 23rd. You can register through DACTB. I think it is or will be in our bulletin, or just go on to DACTB to find out about that. And then I mentioned the district conference in Winston-Salem. And we wanted to make have a couple of special reports today. I want to go to the Peace Conference slide. Reagan Weaver, who is on Zoom today with us, and Elsa and Patty, I know, participated in a peace conference this past weekend that was held and sponsored by the combination Duke, UNC Peace College, I believe it's called. Reagan, if you can hear us and we can hear you, if you want to start it off, and also if you want to come to the lectern so everybody in Zoom can hear you as well. The two of you don't mind giving us your comments on the peace conference. I think we'd like to hear something about peace these days. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, sure can.
Excellent. Okay. Our district, I think everyone knows, our district is one of 7 in the locations around the world where there are peace centers sponsored by the Rotary Foundation. And so the Duke UNC Peace Center is the only one in the United States. And we are very fortunate in that we get to attend or have the opportunity to attend and also act as host counselors to Peace Fellows. And I'm sure Elsa, when she makes her remarks about the program that we attended on Saturday, she can mention Roy, and I don't remember his last name now, but the Peace Fellow that she has hosted for the last 2 years. And I believe he spoke to us this past fall if I'm not mistaken. But peacemaking is one of Rotary's 7 emphasis areas, focus areas. And that's been one of the primary reasons that I joined Rotary, because I've long been interested in peacemaking. And the conference this past weekend was an excellent opportunity for the 7 Peace Fellows attending Duke and UNC in their second and final year of their 2-year master's program to make oral presentations to us on topics of their research interests. The theme, as you see on the slide, was Peace Reimagined. I won't tell you about all 7 of the topics, but they were excellently done, and they give faith to Patty and Elsa and me. And in the past, Rusine and Randy have been deeply involved in hosting Peace Fellows. I assume Randy and maybe Rusine are present today. But I'll just refer quickly. Elsa's Peace Fellow talked about play therapy for helping children who have encountered the trauma of war victims, such as in Ukraine right now. So his topic was both current and topical. Another interesting presentation was talking about the use in Lima, Peru, of container waste systems in the barrios, or the extremely poor areas of Peru, and in Lima particularly. The poor folks, or the poorest of the poor, live on the hillside surrounding the metropolis. And on those hillsides, the rocky area makes it almost prohibitively expensive to have sewer systems. And so this presentation analyzed the costs and benefits of alternative approaches, such as container-based systems. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of waste collection, but that's one of the realities of dealing with disease in the world. And it's to have proper waste disposal makes a huge difference in the lives of poor people. I won't say more myself, but Elsa and perhaps Patty as well will have something to add. It was a good day. And it was both virtual and in person. I believe both Patty and I were attending virtually, and Elsa attended in real life. So if y'all would like, Elsa, I believe since you're at the podium, can you take over from here?
Thanks, Reagan, very much for your remarks, and I think that he's really hit the nail on the head. I will tell you that we've had conversations in the past about my nephew and his fiancée escaping Ukraine, and I know that we've talked about it. And that sister-in-law over there, that was her son. And so we're all very excited that he's now settled in Ireland for the next 90 days, and hopefully will then migrate with his fiancée back to the United States. So it is a very real problem in terms of rehabilitating children, which Rowie talked about at great length in his presentation. And how do you do that? In addition, I will tell you, I was extremely impressed with the subject matter each of the presenters talked about. They are topics that are complex in nature, clearly illuminated larger than life issues that plague many countries and people. The additional ones that were presented on Saturday included using digital technology for small farmers, rethinking the international engagement of NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations, and how they can partner to support a more civil society. Do hybrid tribunals improve the rule of law? Unlocking hope for the women of Gaza. And then finally, seeking effective peace-building models to improve health and educational opportunities for girls in Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. Our support of Peace Fellows, as Reagan said, here and abroad, in my opinion, is some of the most important work that we do. These young minds have chosen to undertake some of the world's most difficult problems and to persevere, finding solutions for the causes of conflict, starvation, education, and to be ambassadors of goodwill wherever they may go. I personally wish them Godspeed. In addition, I will tell you, in your Rotary book, there is a whole section on peace building projects that Rotary International is engaged in. And I will tell you, it was wonderful to be there and to see them. These are the young people who truly are the future of our country and everybody else's country. And they deserve certainly a round of applause. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our event, April 21st. So we've had great interest in the event. I think we have 8 or 9 sponsors already. If you turn the sheet over on your table, you can actually sign up for the event right now. Tickets are $75, and then there's special pricing for sponsorship opportunities. And Linda has been sending that out to everyone. If you have any questions, please ask. We will be serving hors d'oeuvres, bourbon, whiskey, and wine. And I think it's going to be a fabulous event. It's going to be at James Lamontia's gallery in the Village District. We're auctioning off a painting and some other surprise thing. I think it's going to be a fabulous event, and I really hope there's going to be rounds of auctioned off. So I know we have a few golfers in the crowd. So I think it's going to be a fabulous event. It's our opportunity to really support not only Gift of Life and also Rotary International in the work that we do. Please sign up. Thank you. Any questions? Just reach out. I'll be right over there. Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Elsa. And thanks to Reagan, Patty, and Elsa for representing our club at the Peace program. It's sounded very important and interesting. Kevin Summers, would you like to give any updates on day of service?
Yes, I will. I guess going out of order. I was told I need to stand farther away from you guys because I yelled too much.
Come this way, so soon we
Okay, I
can
need to
see
stand
you.
this way so you can see me online. Yeah. Good point. So after my plea last week at work, we have Richard's stream cleanup has got 9 of the 10 volunteers as of yesterday, so it's maybe filled by now. The Habitat, I've actually got 6 Rotarians, not all from this club. Reagan must be coming to town because he signed up. So unless, I don't know how you do Habitat virtually. So, and then the last one though is the club, the Southeast Raleigh Club that we, have helped create. They're doing the park cleanup at Sanderford Park. As of yesterday, nobody had signed up. So if you guys have time, I'd really like to help out our sister club there in Southeast Raleigh. It's a park cleanup. It's from 12 till 3. That's the one I'm trying to focus on. If you guys can help out, day of service, service above self, come out and get a little bit dirty. It's going to be a nice day, and you guys will have fun. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. And we have a couple of very important events today in the membership category. And for that, our All-Star Membership Chair, Harrison.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing today? Beautiful day outside. It's a beautiful day for inductions and readings. So with that being said, if I could have, if possible, Shakima and Alfonso, please, and come with me up front. I've had the absolute honor of getting to know both of these. They're going to be phenomenal additions to our club. So with that, first we have a second reading today for Shakima McLean. Shakima is originally from New York City, New York, where she graduated from the Manhattan Center for Science and Mathematics in 1999. She transitioned to the Triangle after serving 10 years in the United States Army as a logistician. She has a heart for the community and lives that through her service in multiple nonprofit organizations that focus on supporting and providing resources to underserved families in need. From the multiple conversations I've had with Shakima, one thing's for certain, and if anybody else has had an opportunity to speak with her, she does have a heart for service above self. I mean, she's living that already. So it is an absolute joy to have her as a potential member. Shakima, one of the things I often ask people is to share their why with someone. So I'd love to ask you, what excites you? Why Rotary?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I'm all about, volunteering and serving the community. And when I learned about Rotary, I felt like I need to be part of a group in volunteering. I'm always individually volunteering, walking on people's doorsteps, hey, you need to volunteer. So it's kind of awesome and interesting to participate with the actual group that does the knocking and to volunteer as well. So here I am.
Well, perfect. If you have any questions or if you haven't had an opportunity to say hello to Shakima, please do so after the meeting. But thank you so much. All right, and then today we also have an induction of Alfonso Albuquerque. And Alfonso, you're actually going to be pinned by Tom. So if you could come up as well, Tom. Alfonso actually is sponsored by Alfredo, which is phenomenal to have a new member of Rotary already having someone come in and being inducted. So huge kudos to Alfredo. I don't know if he's on Zoom today or not. But if not, Alfredo, if you're on there, thank you so much for your help. And if not, then just tell him I said bad things about him. So Alfonso's membership application has been reviewed and approved in accordance with our club's constitution and bylaws. We are now proceeded in admitting you into membership Rotary Club of Raleigh and the friendship of Rotary throughout the world. I have a couple of questions for you, so feel free to answer these. Will you join us as we strive to live a life of service above self?
Absolutely.
Will you join us in our activities for service projects and fundraising activities in support of our community?
Yes.
And will you join us in supporting Rotary's efforts worldwide, which focus on these 7 areas: promoting peace, disease prevention, providing clean water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, economic and community development, and protecting the environment?
Yeah, definitely.
And fellow Rotarians, for you, will you join me in fostering and supporting Alfonso as he joins us in pursuing and adding value to our community through service above self? If so, please say, I do. I do. Perfect. Well, now, Tom, if you would please do the honors of pinning Alfredo if possible. And with that, we welcome you to the Rotary Club of Raleigh. Members, please join us. Thank you so much, guys. As a reminder, continue to share your why. This is a great club that's doing amazing things, and we need more hands on deck to make an impact in our community. If you have anybody that is interested in potentially becoming a Rotarian, please email me at rotaryraleigh@gmail.com or bring them to a meeting. That's even better. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Harrison, and Alfonso, congratulations again. And if you'll consider perhaps agreeing to meet my youngest daughter at some point, I'd like that too. He's such a great guy.
And could be service above self.
That's right. Yeah, just all sorts of referrals and stuff. So we do have some birthdays to make sure we get through. And note Scott Stroud on April 12th, Ned Ligon, April 14th, Cindy Roberts, April 15th, Jim Graham, April 16th, and Randy Woodson, Chancellor of NC State, on April 20th. And then we have a couple of anniversaries. You can see they're pretty significant ones. Dave and Chris Gospoderic, 53 years on April 12th. Lee and Cynthia Hammond, April 20th is 65 years. And then Duncan and Ashley Jennings on April 24th. So congratulations to everybody. And that brings us to the close of the club news and details we need to get to. And with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today. Because Johnny came to my attention through Nathan Thomas, our incoming District 7710 governor. And Johnny's going to speak to us today about the Rotary Youth Exchange program. Just by way of background, though, and this is something that Johnny has been committed to and involved in for years. And it's nice now as we hopefully are unleashing ourselves and emerging from the pandemic that the Youth Exchange program is getting back on its feet again and getting traction through clubs throughout the district. Johnny, though, is a member of the Wake Forest Rotary Club, and he's been a Rotarian since 1995. He's a past club president and a former assistant governor. He's been a member of the District 7710 Youth Exchange Committee since it was started in 2011, and he served in every role that you can think of with the committee. By way of background, Johnny's a retired community journalist and editor, but who started a second career as an immigration paralegal. And Johnny's married to Becky and has 2 adult daughters. And Johnny's been nice enough to come down from Wake Forest to talk to us today. And Johnny, we very much look forward to your comments today on the Youth Exchange Committee.
I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all today. I was thinking about the presentation that you heard earlier on the Peace Fellows program, and I do know that is an incredibly important jewel in our crown in Rotary District 7710. But I want you all to think for just a minute about where those people come from. Where do those master's degree students come from? They come from programs like Youth Exchange, which is a cultural and educational exchange for high school students. And so, we're gonna back up from the Peace Fellows program just a few years and talk about opportunities for cultural advancement through the Youth Exchange program. Alfonso, you're a new member. Do you recognize where this picture was taken?
Yes.
Yes. You want to show anybody? There you go. That's right. So, oh, great. Your clicker works. I'm so scared of technology. And also, before I get into this, I just want to add one more plug. Because I have can't say no disease, District Governor Angela asked me to be on the district conference committee this year. So I have been working with that group all year, well, for about 1.5 years now. And the program that we've put together is really phenomenal. We have not been able to get together as a district for about 2 years in person. And I will tell you that it is well worth the investment of your time and money to come to our district conference this year. And I say that knowing that I have a bias, but I will tell you that the speakers and the entertainment are top notch. The facilities are top notch, and I think you will enjoy yourself. So I really hope to see a long list of Raleigh Rotarians on the sign up sheet as that progresses. So May 13th and 14th. So a little bit about Youth Exchange. It is a cultural and educational exchange for students. It's for high school students ages 15 to 18 and a half. So that allows you to graduate from high school in June and take an exchange, put off college for 1 year, take an exchange, that's what we call a gap year student, and then come back and go start your college career. The program has two different components, a short-term component and a long-term component. The short-term program is a summertime exchange. It happens over 6 to 8 weeks in the summertime. That is for students who maybe aren't quite sure they want to commit to being away from the creature comforts of home and the care that mom and dad provide them for as long as the long-term program goes on. We've had several instances where we've had students participate in the short-term program. They enjoyed it so much that they came back and they did the long-term program. And so that is always an option for students. The long-term program is for the school year. So students leave usually in August, sometimes as early as late July, and they will be gone until June or July of the next year. So they're gone for 10 or 11 months. They don't come home for Christmas. They don't come home for holidays. But they are where they're going to be. They're living abroad for that year. A little bit about Rotary's role. We have two primary roles that I want to talk to you about. Number one, we're vetting everybody that touches our program. So whether it's a student who applies to be a part of our program, whether it's a volunteer who, like myself, who works with the program, whether it's a host family, everybody that comes in contact with our students goes through background checks. We interview them, we train them, we talk to them about their responsibilities, and we take that role very seriously because we know that for the students that come here, we're taking responsibility for them, and that's no small responsibility. I have great fear and admonition about my responsibility as a parent to my own two children, much less somebody else's child. So we take that role very seriously. And then the second role that we have is to help them get to the countries that they want to go to. And so we are part of a multi-district organization that I guess, did I talk about that later? Okay. We're part of a multi-district organization called Essex, Eastern State Student Exchange, which is a Rotary organization made up of Rotary districts from North Carolina up through New England, a few districts in Canada and in Bermuda. I've been trying to get them to have our annual meeting in Bermuda, and I failed. They always have it in January in Philadelphia, which makes no sense to me. But they help us stay in between the lines with the State Department. They help us make the matches and make the exchanges. So if I have a student that wants to exchange in Japan, folks in Essex help us do that. And then the other thing that we do is we monitor, we work with the students to come inbound and spend their year here. And we also monitor the outbound activities, the activities of our outbound students. A little bit about Youth Exchange by the numbers. This is worldwide. I wish it was our district. 400 districts participate in Youth Exchange out of Randy, Bill, 523 districts, something like that. So roughly 80% of the districts in the world participate in Youth Exchange in one way or another. 128 countries in 2019, the last year that we had Youth Exchange, participated in our program. Over 5,000 Rotary clubs participated. Raleigh was not one of them, so we're going to change that next year. Surrey has promised me that he's going to find 10 kids. Okay. 8,000 students from around the world participated in Youth Exchange in 2019. 8,000 students, and so to work with those, we had 30,000, almost 31,000 volunteers. And I want you to look at that number because Youth Exchange is an extension program for Rotary. If Chancellor Woodson was here, he would understand extension and the value that it has. But of the 31,000, almost 14,000 volunteers in the program are not Rotarians. They may not know anything about Rotary, but they learn about Rotary over the course of their involvement. And we get new members in our clubs through this opportunity. And then we have over 13,000 host families. And again, over 8,000 of those are non-Rotary host families. So they don't have a Rotarian in the home. Again, this is an extension program. We're teaching people about Rotary and the things that we do. And so, so that's one of the things that makes Youth Exchange really valuable. A little bit about what's involved in an exchange for, and I'm going to speak mostly about long-term exchanges here. The clubs approve a local student. So if Sally Jones comes to Bill McLaurin and says, I'd like to do a youth exchange, then he's going to bring that to you all. You all are going to interview that child, decide if she is a worthy candidate. And if you think she is, she'll complete the application process. She'll go through an interview process at the district level. In agreeing to sponsor her outbound exchange, you are also agreeing to host a student from abroad. Okay, so it's an exchange in terms of the club's obligation. The countries, as I said, are assigned by Essex. There is a lot of training that we do. We had some yesterday afternoon in Chapel Hill. We train everybody who comes in contact with our families. Comes in contact with our program. The students themselves, the host families, the Rotary volunteers, the club counselors who work directly with the students. Everybody in the program goes through some training that we provide for them. And then generally in August, we have our inbound students arrive about a week before school starts in mid to late August. And then we have activities throughout the course of the year that we involve our inbound students. So one of the things that they have told us is that they enjoy the opportunity to be around other exchange students. And so you can imagine that if Roxborough is hosting a student and Raleigh is hosting a student and Lillington is hosting a student, they're not going to see each other very often. So we make sure to bring them together about once a month. Usually the first activity that we have is a scavenger hunt in downtown Raleigh. And so one of the things that we ask them to find is the Rotary monument that's on the wall of one of the buildings on Salisbury Street, I think. So we teach them a little bit about where they are, but we bring them together to do things. And that might be a simple thing like going to the zoo or going to the beach. It might be more complicated, like taking them to Walt Disney World or Walt Disneyland, whatever it is in Florida. And we try to get them involved in district activities too. We'll try to bring them to the district conference. We involve them in RILA, and we get them to do as many things as we can together. Let's see, I guess my next screen is going to be this video. It's about a 3-minute video. And what I will caution you all to listen to is the passion with which some of these children speak about youth exchange. And I hope that you can tell from the way they talk that this is a life-changing program for them. Do we have sound?
Yeah, are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm sorry, I am.
Have you ever thought about being in the youth exchange?
You're asking me.
Have you ever thought about being part of Youth Exchange?
Well, yeah, you should. Of course.
My name's Paige Mason, and I went to Thailand in 2005-2006.
My name is Adam Hennings. I went to Austria in 2004-2005.
My name is Brooke Lodine. I went to Argentina.
My name is Lisa Miller, and I went to Germany.
I think that if people are wondering if they should be an exchange student, you should do it. If you have to ask, there's probably some curiosity in you, like, could I do it, or how would it be worth it? And that's the curiosity that makes it a good year.
I had a high school German teacher who told me that, this is 1 year, but this is your life. And that 1 year can mean so much more to you than just the 12 months that you're abroad. The value that you're going to get from being abroad is going to surpass everything that you would have experienced if you were still here.
Before I went, I would kind of ask a bunch of people, oh, is it okay if I do this? Do you think I should do this? And then now, because of being on Youth Exchange, I just feel, okay, I want to do that. I'm going to. And then I do it, and I'm happy I did it, obviously. And I just am a lot stronger in knowing what I want to do and executing it.
Do it. It is the best experience you will have. And it won't be fabulous the entire time. You know, you're going to have rough spots, but it is definitely worth it. I mean, look at your past week. How many rough spots have you had so far? And just think now you could experience those completely differently in a different place, and you will experience all the good things that that you've never had before.
It's something that I recommend to anyone who is looking for a challenge and for an amazing experience.
Just as a disclaimer, I would say be really sure that it's what you want, because that's what's going to make all the difference when you're there and you're homesick and you want to leave. Like, you have to be able to go back and say that you wanted that. But aside from that, I would say do it. It's just it's so worth it. Even just knowing another language and having that bicultural experience, there's nothing that can top it. You'll never get that experience anywhere else. So I really encourage people to do it.
Do it because there's no reason in the world not to. And I mean, if anyone ever asks me, why should I do this? I'm just going to look at them and say, why shouldn't you? It's the best thing ever.
I don't think that's right. So again, I hope you heard some of that passion from these students. The first young lady that talked about, you know, if you're curious about it, then you're the kind of person that we want. We want curious people. We want outgoing people who are willing to try things and willing to jump into the deep end of the pool. So let's talk a little bit. Let's see, I guess I can click her back. Okay, so how can you guys play as a club? Several things you guys can do. Our exchange year, our application window has closed for this year. So we will send 3 students abroad for short-term programs this year. They're going to go to Spain, Italy, and Germany. We're going to send 2 long-term students abroad. They're going to go to France and Japan. So we're sending students all over the world. That's 5 students, and maybe more importantly in my mind, that's 2 long-term students. 2 long-term students. So I believe we've got the capacity in our district, in the 2.2 million people that live in the Triangle, to find more than 2 teenagers that would be interested and willing to participate in a youth exchange. And so one of the ways that you guys can participate is by sponsoring a student. Again, sponsoring the student involves hosting a student on the return side of the exchange. You can also sponsor an activity. You know, I mentioned that scavenger hunt that we do every year. We bring them to downtown Raleigh, we do the scavenger hunt, and then we go eat pizza somewhere downtown. We have small events like that throughout the year. Your club is welcome to get in touch with me and say, we'd like to sponsor an event, we'd like to sponsor an activity. And we, you know, we want to do that, and we'll help you organize it and get it together and let you take it from there. But that will give you an opportunity to expose yourself to these young people and get to know them just a little bit, and have a sense of the kind of caliber of young people that we're working with. You can host an event. We have events throughout the year that are a little bit bigger, a little bit more exclusive in the sense that they're really just youth exchange events. We have an orientation at the beginning of the year for our inbound students. We have another sort of debriefing event at the end of the year when our students come back from abroad, and we talk to them about their experience. And in both cases, we're trying to help these students have good experiences or improve on what we do so that we can do it better. And it's always nice to have a club that's willing to host that event, help us provide a space to do it, and to help us cook food for it, and those kinds of things. You can also organize talks in schools. I feel sure that Raleigh Rotary Club must sponsor an interactive club in the community. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's getting
So,
back.
At Brock, okay, all right. So, but talk to the Interact Club, talk to the foreign language clubs at the high schools nearby. Talk to counselors at the schools and let them know about the program. We do our best to reach out to as many of them as we can, but as a 5-member committee, it's just a struggle. And the other thing that you can do when you sponsor service projects, and I mean hands in the dirt kinds of projects, let us know, because our students are always looking for opportunities to participate in service projects. So whether it's building a habitat home or cleaning up a park or whatever, let us know and invite the students to come participate. Okay, they look for those opportunities and we want to provide them to them. So as an individual, how can you help? First of all, you can join the Youth Exchange Committee, and Alfonso, I am looking at you, buddy. All right. The Youth Exchange Committee is a working committee. We don't meet in person on a regular basis. We do our work by email and telephone. We meet about once or twice a year, and that's it. But everybody on the committee has a job to do, and we all hold each other accountable to those jobs, and we depend on each other to do those things. And so we really want more people. If we are successful in growing our program the way we would like to, we need more people to help us do that. If your club hosts a student, then you should consider hosting that student in your home. When we bring a student here from abroad, we promise them a minimum of 2 host families, but we try to find 3 host families. And the reason for that is living in the Packer household is probably different than living in the Fraser household, and it's definitely different than living in the Whitfield household. And we want them to experience different kinds of lifestyles. But you can host a student, and it is an enriching, rewarding experience to do so. If your club hosts a student, consider serving as a club counselor. That would automatically make you the Rotarian in this club who gets to know that student the very best. You would be working with the student, working with the schools, working with the host families, working with us as the district committee to make sure that that student's experience is all that we would like for it to be. Consider your circles. Think about the networks that you have in your community, and look for young people that you think would make good candidates. I was telling Surrey at lunch, we get most of our students because they come to us. We have struggled to be able to go out and do a lot of outreach, and so most of the students that we get come to us and say, I would like to do one. So, consider your circles. If your neighbor down the street has a 15-year-old that you think is a good candidate for something like this, talk to mom and dad and see if it's something they'd be willing to entertain. And if so, talk to the student or enlist us to talk to the student or the parents. We'll be happy to make those cold calls. And then, I'm sorry, was there a question? And then contribute your talents. I know that all of you are skilled at your profession, and you have skills with your hobbies and your outside interests. And if there are things that you can do that you think would serve us well in terms of speaking to groups, in terms of technology, in terms of event planning, trip planning, those kinds of things, consider contributing your talents to our program. And I apologize, but do you all remember the photo at the beginning of our program that had the boy with the cow standing in front of the cow? That boy was from Raleigh. He was hosted about 5 years ago by the Fuquay Marina Club, and he had never seen a cow before in his life. And so he's got sent to Austria. He was living on a farm, and he told me when he sent me that picture, he said, I was scared to death, scared to death of that cow. But the boy had an awesome year. He has since come home, and he's gone to school at Ohio State. This picture, the same boy is on the left. The other 3 students are exchange students that he exchanged with in Austria from other countries. And they developed such a close bond that they wanted to come and see Ryan. And so they came last summer, I believe, and he took them out west and toured them around the western United States. Youth Exchange is a lifelong program. It impacts you for the rest of your life. And so that's why I would like for you all to be involved personally. That's why I'd like for this club to get involved in this program and help us build it and grow it to where we think we can be. I'll leave that up for as long as you'll let me. My contact information is up there. You can email me, you can call me on the telephone. I will answer any questions. I know in 30 minutes I can't possibly do this program justice, but I hope too that you can tell from the comments that I've made that I am passionate about this. It has been life-changing to me, and I tell people all the time that I don't make a successful Facebook post unless it has likes from 4 comments, because those kids have continued to be my friends and continue to be important to me, and I continue to pay attention to them as they grow up and move on in different phases of their life. And so I do hope that the Raleigh Rotary Club will find a way to be involved in this program going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty.
Yes.
How much would it cost the family that sends a child on a short-term or a long-term program? How much is that out of pocket for them?
Yeah, so the long term is obviously going to be a little bit more expensive, and we generally tell folks that an exchange is going to run between $6,000 and $8,000 for a year, and that's going to vary depending on where you go. An airplane ticket to Australia or Japan is going to cost more than one to Brazil or Bolivia. The short-term program is much less expensive. It basically, the major expenses there are the airfare again, and the insurance that students buy to participate in the program. So for, $2,000 or $3,000, you can participate in a short-term program. And one of the reasons that it's cheap is because we don't have overhead. There are other foreign exchange programs in this country that are for-profit organizations, and they have overhead costs that we don't have because all of the people running our program are getting paid, the big fat sum of $0. And so that makes it much more affordable than a lot of other programs. Any other questions?
Richard, do you have any countries that Lucy might be interested in the future, do you think? Well, now you know the fellow who can steer your business. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again. And wait, before you go though, one of the maladies that you mentioned that's Rotary is very fortunate, a lot of its members to have, is the can't say no-itis. And so Johnny is definitely one of those. And we want to honor you with one of our special cups for speaking with us, and come back and visit us. And hopefully we can support the Youth Exchange.
I very much look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. 2 quick things again. Please support our club on April 21st. And our own James LaMancha at his cool art gallery. Take an hour or so out of your time for wine and bourbon and some great prizes and camaraderie. So please go sign up for that when you get back this afternoon. And secondly, if for some reason you haven't met him or shaken his hand, be sure to congratulate Alfonso before we leave today. We're really lucky to have him as a new member. So with that, we'll do the 4-way test. Rise, please. Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.